conversations as well. And that's what we do every day of the week, Mondays through Fridays at 9 o'clock. We have conversations on the Lagos Talks. It is a pleasure to have you along on the ride. Ayokunmi right here with you, ready to jump into another insightful discussion this morning. And it's all about World Teachers Day. Yes, it's all in honor of World Teachers Day, which actually came up on Saturday. That was October the 5th. And hey, this is something that definitely resonates deeply across our nation. Now, the challenges faced by Nigerian teachers, now, the theme for this year is valuing teacher voices. But are we truly listening to our teachers? Now, how well do we understand the struggles of our teachers, the ones shaping the future of our children, and of course, by extension, our society? You know, the sort of influence and should I say power impulse that teachers have impacting knowledge across generations in order to build nations as well. Joining me on this very important conversation, I'll be having two special guests this morning. In the person of Dr. Yewande Ntekim-Rex. She is a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos. Very good morning to you, Dr. Yewande. Great to have you on Lagos Talks this morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning, Nigeria and the world. Uh, it's great to be celebrated, and I'm glad to be a teacher.
Absolutely glad. And like I said before we jump into the conversation, that hats off to you and all the amazing educators out there doing what it is that you do every single day. You know, it's said that teaching is a calling, and you need to have been called, you need to have been spoken to, I don't know, by higher power or thereabouts to get into the world of teaching. So we appreciate you doing what you do every day to, you know, impact knowledge and of course impact generations as well. My second guest this morning is none other than Suruurah Ogunfemi. She's an educator and director of the Guided Beginnings School. Very good morning to you, Suruurah. Great to have you on Lagos Talks. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, loud and clear. Good morning, Ayokunmi. Good to be here. Good morning, Nigeria.
Absolutely fantastic. Two amazing educators with me on the ride this morning. And you can join us on this conversation. If you're a teacher out there, if you know a teacher or two, you can talk about the challenges they face and how, you know, you're probably trying to make their lives a whole lot easier at the end of the day. Come through on WhatsApp and share your thoughts with us on 0201 4489981 is the studio line to give us a call on, the WhatsApp number to send your messages, and by extension to call as well if you can't get through easily to the studio line, or if you're in diaspora and WhatsApp is the comfortable way for you to get through. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. We're also streaming on YouTube. It's at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is, or those are the ways that you actually can be a part of this morning. Okay, so talking about challenges faced by Nigerian teachers. I mean, different things come to mind, from overcrowded classrooms to inadequate infrastructure, poor remuneration. I mean, it goes without saying that teachers have quite the job on their hands, especially right here in Nigeria. And you just wonder, are we even doing enough to listen to teachers, to listen to their needs? How can we prioritize said needs, especially when it comes to equipping schools and universities as well with better resources? Now, I'm going to come to you first of all, Suruurah, with this one. Now, as a school owner, as an educator, what do you believe is the most overlooked challenge that teachers in Nigeria face today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ayokunmi. And that's really the spot on intro you're giving already to the challenges. And when you talk about the most overlooked challenge, in my own opinion, I'll be think that most of the teachers are actually missing the gap on learning how learners actually learn. And what do I mean by this? So you're a teacher, and to become a qualified teacher, you either go to the NCE or you go through the university routes, through the Faculty of Education, or as we know happens most of the time as well, you're a graduate or just someone who has been looking for a job, and well, the easiest place for you to get in is some school down your street or maybe even into the government stream. Irrespective of the means through which you come into this profession, and let me even assume that you come in from the trained angle. Yes, we have colleges of education, we have faculties of education. And if you look at the content of the material, the education, the learning,
Mm, mm.
it's devoid of the psychology behind how children actually learn. So you know
Okay.
the material, you understand what to do, the pedagogy, but what about the individual differences and how each particular child with his or own individual difference can learn? So most teachers come into the classroom and most of the time they feel that once I have mastered my content and I just pitch it over to my learners, they all pick. Now, while some learners are runners and smart, and so they can actually hear you and they'll easily grab the concept. There's some children that will probably need to learn in a multi-sensory way. They'll probably need to learn through
Mm.
hands-on thoughts. They probably need to learn in diverse ways outside using their auditory and visual skills. And those kind of learners, most of the time, are sidelined from the learning. So these are learners that probably may not necessarily just want to sit still in class and listen to you as a teacher. And these are the, unfortunately, set of learners that teachers will actually pick out as being disruptive in the learning process, and they get
Right.
victimized, punished for, in quote, disrupting the class without the teacher actually knowing that the way this child has been configured, he cannot sit still and learn. He needs to touch, he needs to do. That learning has to be brought into life. And so the more senses a teacher is equipped with to teach a learner, the better for the outcome of the learner. Unfortunately, most teachers are not even aware of this. And at the end of the day, they may have to resort to unethical means to ensure that the children actually have good grades. And that's what is showing
Right.
up in the
Right.
workforce. We now have graduates who are not even fit, who you wonder the kind of learning experience they have gone through, which unfortunately may not necessarily have been due to any form, any fault of theirs.
Right, right. Absolutely, absolutely spot on there. I love how you dove or you dived into the conversation. And one thing I took from that is how a lot of teachers think that it's a one size fits all when it comes to teaching students in a classroom. And that is something that needs to be discussed. It's not a one size fits all. Different students have different ways in which they learn, and teacher has a lot of work to do in determining the, should I say, the individual peculiarities of each student to ensure that they actually learn and take something away from them in the classroom. I'm going to come to Dr. Ntekim-Rex in a bit. We need to take a quick break right here. When we come back in, I'll come over to you and, of course, get your thoughts from a tertiary education point of view. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned. We'll be back in a bit. Okay, very quick break and we'll dive back into the conversation. Great start, great start, great start. Write that down. Your best interests to understand. Welcome back. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Your love music, love life, love conversation station as well. 18 minutes past 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. We're having great discussions talking about our teachers. It's a World Teachers Day special. Looking at the challenges faced by our Nigerian teachers. Are we actually listening? That is the million naira question, or $1 million question. Anyone that actually floats your boat. Welcome along to the conversation. I still have my special guest with me this morning, Dr. Yewande Ntekim-Rex. She's a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, as well as Suruurah Ogunfemi. She's an educator and director at the Guided Beginning School. I beg your pardon. Welcome back into the conversation. Lagos, Nigeria, and the entire world, wherever it is you're listening to us right now. You can join us on the discussion this morning. It's all about our teachers. Come through and share your thoughts on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. You can also call on that number if it's convenient for you. The studio line remains 0201 4489 981. 0201 4489 981. YouTube are streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, welcome back to the conversation. I said before we went on that quick break that I was going to come to you, Dr. Ntekim-Rex, and get your thoughts and your perspective, also from your experience as a lecturer in one of our prestigious universities, University of Lagos. What are the most significant barriers to effective teaching at the tertiary level that you have seen or you've experienced?
Thank you, Ayokunmi. The first thing I want you to appreciate, I know you've appreciated teachers, but I want to say that teachers in Nigeria are great people because they have been using the barest minimum facilities and opportunities to bring out the best that they can. Now, getting to your question, at the university level, as far as I know, and from my experience, the most daunting challenge that university lecturers have is the sheer number of students that they have to deal with. You know, my co-discussant mentioned something about individual differences. This also plays out at the university level. That we have so many students coming from different backgrounds, different educational background, primary school, secondary school, and they all are pulled together in the university. And they all have differences in terms of their capacity, in terms of their psychology, their psychic, emotions, everything. But nobody considers this when they get into the university. And then to now compound the matter, the teachers at the university level do not have the luxury of being able to attend to the needs of the students because of the sheer number of the students in each of the classes. You know, when a class is small, you're able to pay attention and to do a lot more for the individual students in the class. So the teaching becomes targeted. Even though you're lecturing, you're able to do assessment as often as you can, pay attention to different laxes and the differentiations of the different students in your class. But because of the sheer number of students, it's not possible to do as much due diligence and as our university lecturers will do. But I must say that in spite of this, a lot of times university lecturers have been doing as much as they can, but it is only as much, the barest minimum, because there's no way. For example, let me give you a live example. You know, the facility is small, but you have a huge number of students. For example, a classroom that is supposed to take 100 students, and the course you're supposed to take there would has like 500, 600 students. Most
Oh,
of the
wow.
students, when they come for the first 2 classes and they find that there will be no seat for them, they won't show up. That is one. And you have to deal with them not understanding what is going on in the classes. And when you give assessment, you can easily identify those who have been attending classes or not. And then you now find those classes being crammed up by over 200 students. So as you're teaching, as a good teacher, you are aware of the fact that the students are not comfortable. You are not comfortable. Everywhere is hot. You are lecturing. You are trying to pay attention to what they're doing. So the challenges that surround the sheer number of students in the classroom is like a cycle. It goes round and it ripples, and every one of them are tied together, and they make it so difficult in the teaching process and even the learning environment for the students. There's a lot, but I just want to say that, when you look at it from the share number, you find that there is a compounding of other challenges mounting up as a result of the share number of the students that you have in the classes.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Ntekim-Rex. Suruurah, I'm going to come back to you and still on this matter of overcrowding, because unfortunately, it's not only at the tertiary level. Even at secondary school level, you have some schools that in one arm of a class, you have 300, 400 students in one class. You have so
Yes.
many of them within one particular classroom, and then you just begin to wonder, okay, if at this level you have this sort of situation, how much of an education are they actually going to get? Because this is still more or less the foundational level before they get into the tertiary system.
Yeah.
Are we setting ourselves up for issues in the future? Because if you have students who at secondary school level aren't getting the very best, they're not getting that solid foundation, what does it say for them when they get to the wider world in terms of university, polytechnics, and so on and so forth in terms of tertiary education?
Ayokunmi, would you like me to respond to that?
Oh, actually, I think I wanted Suruurah to respond to that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And in fact, when doctor was talking, I realized, I mean, it brought to life the real, in quotes, minutes we have in our hands. And so, yeah, it sowed its seed right from the primary level. And of course, when you have this kind of overcrowded classrooms where there are 80 learners in a class or more than that, then there's obviously going to be increased noise level. And when the teacher even gets in, the first thing he's trying to do is to get the attention of the pupils or students at 100%, which then becomes an Herculean task. And the reality that greater the number of students in a class, the less attention each student can receive from the teacher, no matter how good that teacher is. I recall when I did my own teaching practice at a public school in Lagos in, I think, 2004, thereabout. It was crazy. You have to battle with trying to grasp the attention of the children before you are even able to push in the content you want to get them into. So it even makes it harder for the children themselves to concentrate, and that definitely will affect their learning outcomes. So even with you as a teacher, you cannot focus, you cannot judiciously utilize that time that has been allotted for you to deliver on what you want to deliver. So it really makes the teacher to get stressed and feel there's that tendency of getting burnout during the teaching process. And so at the end of the day, like my co-consultant have said, when you plan to give these children so much of you or so much from you, it becomes really difficult. And so this could be a current call to our government to pay attention to the education sector, because the reality is that education sector is the compass that sets the tone and the pace for the development of all other facets of the economy. Every economist, every lawyer, every doctor must pass through the the teaching professional. So, unfortunately,
Definitely.
even during the process, if you're not careful, a lot of inspirations are killed at that level because the children will have, they become disinterested. They don't not even see the gains of being educated. And that's where you hear things like education has come, really. So it's a lot on us to understand that there's just so much a good, diligent teacher can do. There's so much a
Mm,
resourceful teacher can do. There's so much, and I'm sure that in that space there's actually a number of learners that is allocated to an individual, to a teacher. So, for example, in the primary school, it's a ratio of one teacher to about 15, 18 children. In the secondary, we could even extend that a bit more, but not to 80, 100, 120, or what have you that our classes have. There is no way an
mm,
individual can effectively reach the heart of those children. And don't forget that teaching is about planting the seeds of wisdom in the hearts of the learners. It's not only about teaching the material content, the literacy, the geography, the economics. It's also about nurturing the next generation. And it's about molding the future of our nation. So it is important that that sector is strictly looked at so that the best and nothing but the best is given to this children. Now, if you look at our counterparts in other parts of the world, you realize that attention is given. Any change in the society that is expected, the first place that it is passed through is the educational system. You know why? Because an enlightened mind, an educated mind, will be able to conform and address whatever issues. So it's like a grassroots approach. And when we're able to look down inwardly into that education sector, ensure that children are really, really educated, then we can now be saying that yes, we're really ready for that change we want in our nation.
thank you for that. We need to take a quick breather, but I just need to mention this. I spoke to an intending intern a couple of weeks ago, and then she schools here in Lagos. And then she mentioned, while we're talking, she mentioned that I think she's in 300 level and said there are about 400 or something students in her class. And I had a mini scream that how 300 level, you have that many students in the class. And I had to ask her, how do you guys even know each other? And I also had to ask the important question, do you all take the same courses? Because I can't imagine as an educator, a lecturer, I have 300, 400 students taking my course. How exactly am I supposed to give 100% to these students, number one? And then, of course, they do tests and exams. How will I calmly sit down to mark all those groups? Because many lecturers do not teach only one particular course. So imagine having to deal with that, and you have other courses at other levels to also teach. That is quite a lot. That is quite a lot. And that's something that is not sustainable going forward. If we want the best quality for those who are going there to learn, these are discussions that need to be had. We'll take a quick break right now. When we come back in, we'll continue the conversation on Lagos Talks this beautiful Monday morning on Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere. So true story. That lady mentioned 400, 500 in her level, 300 level, and it didn't make sense to me because you would think that okay, they would have that many at 100 level, and then some wouldn't make it to the next one, or they would drop out and all that. But to have that many at that level was very scary to think about. Very, very scary to think about. Welcome back to Lagos Talks on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 92.1, your love music, love live station on a Monday morning. It is all about our teachers this morning. It's a World Teachers Day special. We're looking at the challenges faced by Nigerian teachers. And are we actually listening to those calls that they are making? Dr. Yewande Ntekim-Rex is one of my guests this morning. She's a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, as well as Suruurah Ogunfemi. She's an educator and director at the Guided Beginning School. They have been giving us their perspective. I mean, they are in the middle of the action. So they have a better understanding of how it feels. And of course, they wear the shoes, so they know exactly where it pinches as well. Welcome back to the conversation. For all our listeners out there, you can join us on WhatsApp by sharing your thoughts on 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also call if you're outside the country. And if that's more convenient for you, the studio line remains 0201 4489 981. 0201 4489 981. YouTube, we're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, let's get back into the discussion here. Okay, before I do that, there's a call coming in. Let's hear what you have to say. Hello, good morning. Very good morning to you. Good morning. Is that Frank on the line? Oh, Chika. Sounded like Frank. Quite a bit like Frank. Welcome.
Well, I think the conversation today is quite an interesting one. And it's more interesting because it's one that actually covers every facet of human existence. Because whatever you aim to becoming in life, you must pass through education, either formal or informal one. And whichever one you must pass through, you must pass through a teacher. So, which actually makes it quite interesting. But looking at the challenges they've been teaching profession in Nigeria, I think it's quite a peculiar one. It's quite very, very pattern. But one of the things is that the government actually paying what it needs to. The government actually paying their role. Because at the end of the day, whichever way you look at it, you have to take it to the government. But I listened to the senior lecturer from the University of Lagos. I equally have some experience having passed through that institution. I mean, I was in a department that were about 12 and something in number. And at times, the classroom where we ought to have a lecture can't even contain everybody. Wow. And that is part of the challenges that the teachers and lecturers are facing. Another thing you have to factor, another thing you have to bear in mind is that how is it in 2024 that in a public university there is no public access system for the lecturer or the teacher to actually communicate with the students, whereby lecturer have to yell, have to shout, and at the end of the day, these things are actually very kind of immoral the personnel. Also, you have to also put into consideration the environment. Is there a conducive environment for teachers to thrive? The answer is no. Another thing you also have to put into consideration is that welfare. What is the welfare of average teachers today? What is the welfare of average lecturer today? Your guess is good as mine. And I say this because it's quite unfortunate that a lecturer or that a professor in Nigeria today is actually earning about 450,000 a month.
Wow.
But
issues
a
of
new recruit in NNPC or CBN is going with about 700,000 per month. So these are some of the contradictions in our society today. And it actually makes it worrisome. It actually makes it impossible for most people to actually develop a passion for teaching. And that is the truth, because if as a teacher, you are being paid 80,000, 100,000, and as a new recruit in NFPC or CPN, you are earning 700,000. Why would you want to get to be a teacher? So it's actually a contradiction. You cannot go into any public institution today and find a professor that can walk into any cabinet and buy a brand new car. Because you have to save all your entire life savings. It's not enough to get a brand new vehicle. So going forward, I think there's a need for government to go and reduce the issue of teachers' welfare and also the atmosphere and the atmosphere for them to practice their profession.
All right.
Because like I said earlier, whatever you aspire to be, right, you must start to be a teacher. And if a teacher cannot teach you in a good way, I don't see how that can, I don't see that how that can actually bring out the best in you.
Right,
But those of us that actually have opportunity to be in Nigeria classroom and abroad, we know that what's it called, that the contradiction is quite clear. But going forward, look at that, it gets better. Good morning.
Indeed, we do. Thank you so much, Chika, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on Lagos Talks. I mean, Chika said quite a bit there, and it's really something that needs to be put to the fore or brought to the fore on a more regular basis. Now, let's talk about professional development and teacher support as well. I mean, it is very crucial for any teacher to thrive. Yet we often hear complaints about the lack of training opportunities, especially in rural areas. And we know that continuous learning is extremely critical, and a lot needs to be done in order for teachers to receive the support that they actually need. Dr. Ntekim-Rex, I mean, could you share how professional development or the lack thereof impacts higher education, particularly in terms of staying updated with global teaching trends and research as well, which is very key. The world is moving at such a fast rate.
Thank you, Ayokunmi, for that question. The truth of the matter is, in Nigeria, the lecturers in the higher institutions are most of the time on their own in terms of continuous professional development, because the avenue available for them to actually develop that is official, that the individuals can participate in regularly is high end, it's expensive, and most of the lecturers cannot afford to do that as regularly as they would want to. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, one of the ways in which we gain professional development is through research. And after the research, publication of your research, attendance at learned conferences, whether nationally and internationally. And all of this, even for conferences, it's usually weighted. You have to have a certain percentage of attendance at national level and a certain percentage at the international level. Now, where is the fund to carry out the researches? Where is the fund to attend these conferences and even to publish? Because to publish, the lecturers have to incur certain costs to get their research results published, because in our time, the cost of publication is not being taken on by anybody. So any outlets where you have to publish, always look for an avenue to get funds to get those reports published. And it is those lecturers who want to publish in those outfits that have to pay for it. Otherwise, the reports will be sitting somewhere and nothing is going to happen. And if nothing happens about it, your peers will not get to read about it. Your peers will not get to engage in your reports and your research endeavors. You won't get the benefit of their responses or their contributions. And every year in developed countries, every certain period of time, the lecturers in higher institutions get funding to attend conferences, to carry out researches, to get published, even in South Africa, to get published, to engage in other forms of continuous professional development. But in Nigeria, it is sad to note that the fundings are not forthcoming. And when the fundings come maybe to the university, they are thin and far between. So you find that only a few lecturers have the opportunity to benefit from it at any particular point in time. So individual lecturers, aside from facing the other challenges that they have in teaching and impacting knowledge, also have to face this challenge. Your caller said something about welfare. The welfare package is so poor for teachers generally in Nigeria. And as a university lecturer, I must tell you that it's not there. There's no way. So lecturers have to struggle, save, and do all kinds of things in order to ensure that they continue to get the continuous professional development, which they only get in this country through those means that I enumerated: conferences, researches, reports, publications. There are so many other means through which they should get professional development, but nothing happens in Nigeria. Those are the only areas that we use in Nigeria to develop ourselves. And if you want to do anything extra, you have to pay for it yourself.
You have to pay out of pocket yourself.
Yes, yes.
That is just the, I don't know. I
I'm
don't even
saying
know how
that
to begin to describe it.
some funds coming, but they are so thin. So
when
the
they come in, they're
university
thin
have to manage it. Yes,
and they're also few and far between when they actually do come in.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
Man, there is a lot that actually has to be done. We'll take our final breather on Lagos Talks when we come back in. Sir, I'll get your thoughts really quickly on the gaps that you've seen in teacher development, especially at the primary and the secondary school level. I really want to get your own perspective on it as well. Keep it tuned to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. We'll be back in a bit. Don't go anywhere.
Love Life 98.1. Experience true luxury. First from Lagos, with daily flights to Dubai and beyond to over 140 destinations. Unwind in your first class. Dine on sumptuous cuisine at any time. Lose yourself in over 6,500 entertainment channels or drift off on your fully packed. Fly Emirates first and take off in your own private world. Book now, Emirates.com. Fly Emirates. Fly Emirates.
That's your answer. Don't slap anybody.
Right here, every weekday. This segment of Lagos Talks is brought to you by Emirates Airline.
All right, if you're just tuning in, this is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a Monday morning, 46 minutes past 9 a.m. My name is Ayokunmi. And of course, my guests, special guests, are still in with me this morning. It's all about our teachers, World Teachers Day special. Dr. Yewande Ntekim-Rex, senior lecturer at University of Lagos, as well as Suruurah Ogunfemi. She is an educator and director of the Guided Beginning School. They have been sharing their experiences, their insight as well. Their teachers, their educators, they are doing amazing, amazing things, impacting knowledge, and of course, building the nation. You can't build the nation without impacting or imparting the right knowledge into the younger ones. Welcome back into the conversation. Suruurah, I said I was going to come to you to get your thoughts on this issue of professional development where our teachers are concerned. And looking at a primary and secondary school, looking at the primary and secondary school level, I mean, what gaps have you seen in terms of development for teachers?
Okay, thank you very much, Ayokunmi. And yes, in terms of nursery and primary school, the gaps are really deep, if I may say that. Now, the reality is that the quality of experience and learning that our teachers are exposed to also sometimes clamp their ability to actually do better. So let me give you a practical example.
Okay.
I remember in 2004 when I did my PGDE in our prestigious University of Lagos. So one of my lecturers came to class and was like, "This is the handout I've been using since 1981 or 83 thereabout." And it
Wow.
was still in like that typewriter that we use, ASDSM, call it KD. And 2004, if my memory serves me,
2004.
computers were already in existence. Yes, one may argue that, okay, so because lecturers are poorly paid, I mean, they can't renew and improve themselves as much as they would like to. So that is not, for me, a number one gap. The sheer inability of an individual to even see the need to go over and beyond, to go an extra mile, first for self-development. Because whatever you're doing, it's first for yourself before the bigger society will benefit from it. There's so much, I mean, that has evolved in the education sector and it keeps evolving. So without professional development, without keeping up to date with research findings in neuroscience, in psychology, it will be
Okay.
difficult for teachers to improve their teaching practice. Again, there are opportunities that are beyond the classroom experience. And it's only when you're in tune with that professional development that such opportunities can actually beckon at you. So, back to the classroom. For any teacher to uncover the cutting edge approaches in modern day classroom, it is not going to come to you just by sitting down there. You have to make an effort. And one thing I like to tell teachers is that even when there's limited funding coming into it, see it as what it is, your own personal development, and dedicate some time. Look, I like to say that with Professor Google and Dr. YouTube
So
in
Google,
this
that's a good one.
generation, everyone can be a consultant. You just need to be committed to the process. There is always something, in as much as you may not get everything on that platter of free, but you can always get something that can always improve you
As
from
a
where you
stepping
are
stone, more or
as
less.
a stepping stone, as a stepping stone. And when you open yourself to that opportunity, it's certain that more will come your way because now you will know something that the average person doesn't know. And that makes you a more valuable teacher. So that role of professional development, in as much as yes, we hope that someone can just take it and sponsor it. And you know what they say? That when you pay attention. So that payment, even if it's not in terms of naira and kobo, even if it's in terms of your time resources, you're going to pay attention to it. But what I see is that general like, cynical attitude, that entitlement mentality that, hey, if they're not doing it for us, then we cannot do it. Make an effort because in that effort will open the doors of greater opportunities. It will boost your own confidence. It will help you to become more creative. You will
All right.
uncover new teaching methods, new technologies, and be able to improve your own teaching practice. So if every teacher out there were to say, you know what, in 1 week, I'm going to commit 30 minutes. That time I used to scroll mindlessly on the street of social media. I dedicate it to maybe going to Google or even going to educational materials on social media. They will know something better that can impact the lot in that stream.
All right, let's take a quick call right here. Lagos Talks, good morning. Very good morning. Hi, Frank. You sounded like Chica earlier on, so I thought you called earlier, but great to have you on. Welcome, Frank.
Okay. I think the problem is, especially the lack of self-development has to do with our partner. You know, most places in Nigeria, especially the public institutions, there is no recognition for for good. I mean, if you study and you are doing very well, nobody recognizes you. See somebody who is actually poor, who doesn't know anything, being ahead of you just because they have connection. But right now, it has actually changed because people know that they have opportunities elsewhere.
Frank, please turn your radio set off completely. I can hear feedback.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Carry on. Really quickly.
Okay. So, of lack of encouragement by the public institutions, there's no recognition for hard work, there's no recognition for people excel. So people don't, I mean, initially they didn't have any reason to even do self-development. There was no reason whatsoever because you can do all the work and then somebody takes the glory wherever it comes because people are recognized based on who you know or who you knew. But things have changed now. It's still the same thing in Nigeria, but people have opportunities abroad now. So somebody can if somebody is a lecturer, for instance, he has the opportunity to travel abroad and you be recognized. So that's because of that lack of recognition.
Right.
Yeah, that's how the problem has been. I know things are changing now.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank, for sharing your thoughts. I mean, what Frank said just reminded me of this popular saying that we heard a lot that teachers' rewards are in heaven. I know you heard that at one point or another. I don't subscribe to that. I mean, let their reward be right here on earth, I beg. Let's live the earthly life before we begin to talk about the heavenly life. Let's calm down and take it easy. Let's take our final break. When we come back in, we'll begin to round up and I'll get the final thoughts of Dr. Ntekim-Rex and of course Suruurah Ogunfemi this morning on Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere. Okay, final break. And then we shall sum up our discussion. So much fun.
Get a taste of the destination before you arrive. A delicious relaxing. Enjoy a multi-course meal. Your choice of main course, French toast or salad, crackers and cheese.
You have no problems.
All served with wide variety of foods.
That one that you mentioned. Final moments on Lagos Talks this beautiful Monday morning on Smooth 98.1. Welcome along to the conversation. If you're just tuning in, don't feel bad or anything. You can always catch the replay of this discussion on YouTube. It's at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos out there on YouTube. You can always catch up and hear all the great things that my special guests this morning have been saying in the persons of Dr. Yewande, Ntekim-Rex, and Suruurah Ogunfemi as well. Okay, let me take one or two messages because we need to get our final thoughts this morning. Time has absolutely flown by. Dakwa from Adini says, teaching is all about building constructive values in students, and without meticulous and careful impartation of virtue, the purpose will be defeated by all the drama. Mentorship and protege relationship is very important, And when the classroom is overcrowded, it's extremely difficult to identify which student is assimilating information or not. It shouldn't all boil down to examination results and selective tutorials assessment. It should count more than final examinations. Okay, there was no comma there. A conducive environment is necessary and knowledge is key, without which God's people perish. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Austin says, are we talking about teachers' salary and their well-being? What about security of the students and teachers and schools in general? Some group of people said that Western education is not good. As we all know, a lot of schools have closed in some parts of the country and the government is not really doing much about it. I saw a teacher that was kidnapped along with the Chibok girls, but was released after 5 years in captivity on social media a few days ago. She has become the shadow of herself, and she had memory losses amongst others because of what she went through in the hands of the terrorist. Austin sharing his story. Austin, I mean, what we're talking about, it all boils down into the whole conversation. But Dr. Ntekim-Rex and Suruurah, in about 30 seconds or less, I need to get your final thoughts on this conversation. Time has flown by, really. We've had so much fun. Dr. Ntekim-Rex, you can please go first.
Thank you, Ayokunmi. Thank you for having me today and for celebrating teachers. But I must say that in spite of all the challenges for me and for those of us that I know in the higher institution, because our promotions are tied to all of this continuous professional development, we don't have a choice. We do it. We'll struggle and we pay our ways. And that is why I always celebrate my colleagues in the higher institution and even in the secondary school and primary school, because we are doing a lot. We are giving all that we have into this profession. And I must say kudos to all teachers out there. I celebrate all of you. Thank you, Lagos Talk, for having me today.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Suruurah, please, real quick, your final summation. You're muted in case you don't know, Suruurah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
It's fine.
So quickly, I would like to say something about the primary and secondary education system, because we have a situation at hand where currently we have university professors and all writing books. We have curriculum being strung together by people that are not actually in that everyday teaching and learning process. At the end of the day, what they give us to implement, what they observe, appraise, and even give us certifications for, are not necessary to the advantage of the children. So we have to start looking at how we can feed back into the system from people that are directly involved, using cutting edge approaches, using technology, using research-based information, so that we are sure that whatever policies we're making in the education field is we have the right tools, and then our curriculum is evolving. And of course, looking at even how the whole thing can be practiced in a hybrid learning environment, so that teachers also can diversify beyond the classroom in order to meet up with the steep and demanding economic situation they find themselves today. Above all, teachers are wonderful people. The teaching work is not just a profession, it is an act of love and service to humanity. And these are people that are helping our nation to stream out responsible individuals who are strong and committed to the growth and development of this nation. And they need to be celebrated, they need to be appreciated, they need to be recognized.
All right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for those final words, Suruurah, Ogunfemi. We need to call it a morning on Lagos Talks. It has been a pleasure having both of you on the show this morning. Thank you for taking out the time. Lagos, thank you all so much for sending your messages in, and of course your calls as well. Always appreciated. Lagos Talks will make a return tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. More great music coming your way to get you started on a Monday workday. All right.
Thank you.